Hey everyone, and welcome to The Witcher 2 Lorethrough, episode 23. We are about to see whether or not golems dream of electric sheep. Yeah, that's a joke they have. Don't ask. You can't actually talk your way out of this.
A golem? So Henna's legend is true?
It is no more than an obedient machine created to follow orders and kill. Not unlike our Witcher.
So I guess we should get along famously.
You? What do you know about golems?
I don't run into them in every forest, but any good bestiary describes golems at length, and I've read more than my share of those.
Geralt, I'm not questioning your knowledge, but I should be the one to...
Actually, you are questioning my knowledge. Listen, I know what I'm doing. I'll try to get it to reveal the word that'll deactivate it, or I'll just mess with its head. Break the code.
So now we've got a burglar in our midst. Be my guest. Try.
My intentions are good.
As are mine. Know, however, that this may change.
Henna must have been pretty lonely if he gave you eloquence.
The Master made me a guardian. Nothing less, nothing more. And you, provided you stand there, are a guest.
Okay, so the whole guest thing, that's the thing you're gonna mess with. Also, yeah, reference to the Hobbit burglar. Haha. Okay, so if you just say this is going nowhere, then I'm pretty sure you just fight, but, you know, we can just talk about it instead.
So you're aware you're an automaton?
Do we really know who we are, where we came from, and where we are headed? Is human life predictable in that the cycle of birth and death ensnares it? Better than mine. When a human is born, he is obedient to his parents. Later, he listens to tutors, masters, corporals. Finally, he succumbs to the will of death.
And to think that Adalbert questioned Henna's mastery.
Yeah, so... he's way too deep for most of this. So, okay, you don't want to say basically anything that makes him think that you are trying to break his code.
Who, if anyone, is allowed to pass?
Henna, but he is dead. Also guests may pass, but I stop intruders.
Tell me more. Who's a guest and who's an intruder?
Is it not obvious? A guest keeps his distance, or knows the name word. An intruder is anyone who enters too far, attacks me, or otherwise interferes with my being.
Yeah, so if you ask him directly what his name is, what his code word is, then he also does not like that. So don't do that!
Has anyone tried to enter before?
I recall no intruders. I do, however, remember guests who left after being warned.
When was that? What did you discuss?
I am a machine. My memory is limited.
Well, machine, you know.
You're far more self-aware than a typical golem. Can you make sovereign decisions?
The Master made me the way I am, because long discussions were to his liking. I can make decisions, within my program, of course.
So you decide who's a guest and who's an intruder?
Who else would? Guests chat innocuously, exerting no pressure. All others are intruders.
And trying to get past him
I have other
is
questions.
exerting pressure.
Do you remember your creator?
Of course. I was summoned into being by Master Henna. I abide by his will, by his power, by the necessity encased in my stone bowels.
Oh, buddy.
Henna is dead.
His word, which animates me, lives on, as does his legacy, which I protect. Empires will rise and fall, rivers will shift their courses, but I will remain obedient to one master on my eternal watch.
Unless someone shows up who is very powerful, magically inclined. You know. So we don't ask about this. We don't ask about this either, because this doesn't work on him at all. Like, obviously it doesn't. I don't know why Geralt would think that, but hey.
Henna must have been an exceptional man. Can you tell me about him?
I guard everything that belonged to the Master, including his privacy, which he valued highly. I can tell you nothing.
So rude. But yeah, these you really can't. Because he doesn't like those.
I have other questions.
Especially when you use a sign. He really hates that.
Did your creator give you a name?
I am called Obedience and Unyielding Persistence.
Very long name.
I am a guardian and the humblest of servants.
A golem's name is the word that gave it life, and that can take it away. You must have a name.
I own nothing. Everything belongs to my master. How could I divulge the name if I exist solely to protect my creator's property?
He doesn't like that either.
Powerful magic created you. Derhena was a true master.
He is still, since his mastery survives.
He is still rolling in the ground.
As a conscious being, you must be lonely here.
He's getting bored in the background.
The pain of the world, melancholy, lies within the domain of emotions and feelings. My thoughts are governed by pure logic, restricted by my program.
But you can learn. They say that a penchant for philosophy can only come from curiosity.
In my case, it comes from the will of the master, who liked to speak with me.
And do you feel a need to discuss?
I feel nothing. I just have that need.
Yeah, so the logic thing is basically his crux as well. This, again, we're not asking.
Can we discuss the program that controls your behavior?
Of course not.
I have other questions.
I really, really do. Alright, so one of these now.
Where?
Is human...
We already know that. We do. At some point another option is supposed to show up that will tell you. Or allow you to ask the question you need to ask. I feel like I have to ask one of the ones that are not allowed.
Can I ask you for the name word which brought you to life and which can deactivate you?
Do that, and I shall consider you an intruder.
I think it's that.
I have other...
I know enough. There we go.
Alright, I think I know how to get past this thing without
That was the last one I needed.
Burglar witchers, philosopher golems, an expedition replete with fascinating discoveries.
And terrible disappointments. Shut up, Adelbear. And you, Witcher, deal with that golem.
Rude. With their henna's notes we can free you, but he doesn't want that.
We know you exist by the will of your master, thanks to the name word he gave you.
That is true.
You were created to discern intruders from guests. You are to stop the former and greet the latter.
Intruders must be stopped.
So yeah, if you say, hey, tell me the name word, he's still going to be upset. Invoke the sacred law of hospitality, but no.
Are you aware that intruders may seek to deceive you?
I have stone fists to defend myself against those armed with swords. I have my iron logic to defend against those armed with words.
But intruders could include sorcerers who alter reality. They could be illusionists or mere liars. What then is certain?
My existence is certain, as is my master's will.
Okay, let's see. It's not this one. Only you and the master will exist. Everything else is doubtful. I think it's that one. It's definitely not those.
Since only you and the master's legacy exist for certain, everything else is doubtful. A malicious intruder could cloud your senses.
I am the guardian. The master prepared me for that.
But not for Geralt of
He
Rivia.
couldn't foresee everything, so he gave you a mind to compensate. You're much more conscious and intelligent than a guardian needs to be.
It's true.
Your master says, greet guests and stop intruders. That is certain, but everything else can be a lie. And you cannot allow yourself to attack guests. That would be against your master's will.
Guests must be greeted, and intruders must be stopped. This is Derhena's will. Are you a guest or an intruder?
Doesn't matter what I answer. Your senses deceive you. You can trust only your mind. You can't assume I'm a guest, because I may be an intruder. You can't assume I'm an intruder, because I may be a guest.
This is a contradiction. A paradox. The law of excluded middle.
Boom!
We've done it. We've penetrated Gehenna's laboratory.
Let's have a look.
I always feel
This
bad
is better than I'd hoped.
because I quite
A
like the
great
golem.
success for Nilfgaard, this mission.
Nilfgaard.
Maybe you'll get that promotion.
I think I said I
Mentioned
was
some bacteria strains.
gonna read the entire thing in one go, wasn't I? I don't think I did that
There's
last
notes
time.
about the city's history.
Let's see. In the books. Do we have 2? Don't think we do. Oh, did I miss picking that one up? Oh, I might have missed picking that one up. Rip. Oh no, there it is. Okay.
Joanna describes
Can you feel that?
Nope.
my medallion's vibrating.
Shh, wait.
Another masking illusion. I'll try to disperse it.
But wait. My notes.
Later and Lorne.
Yeah, no, you can do that, but I'm gonna do reading first. Let's see. Do I have... I'm missing one. I'm missing the 4th one. It basically tells you of what happened to the Vran. I think I already said that, but... I just want the notes, man. Dun dun
The
dun!
device. What is it?
You've done your job. You'll be paid and...
Paid like the scholars were? They died once they were no longer useful.
They were never useful, but Cynthia insisted. Fortunately, they were so kind as to remove themselves without my help.
I'm not about to be that kind.
Adelbert, you know what you're to look for.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a prototype megascope. I didn't know it had survived.
What's it do?
The artifact detects an emotional bond with a person. Its user need only focus on that person and the device will establish a connection.
Great tool for a spy.
Yes.
Time you fulfilled your end of the bargain. What do you know about my past?
You were a rider of the Wild Hunt. I read the reports.
Don't the Nilfgaardians have anything better to do than write reports about witchers?
Not about witches. About you. You are the sole person to have been a member of the host. And survived.
Okay, so real quick, the thing she just said about the old version of a megascope is kind of something that Vilgefortz actually uses in the books. Because at some point, Vilgefortz, well actually at most points, Vilgefortz is looking for Ciri and he can't find her. So what he does is when Yennefer basically throws herself into his lap in an effort to find Ciri, he takes Yennefer and puts her in a machine that does kind of what Cynthia just said this thing does. Which also makes me a little bit skeptical of this megascope, but I guess, we'll take it for granted. He puts her in a machine and attaches all kind of horrible things to her and then asks her to think of Ciri because he wants to find her. So Yennefer basically stops herself from doing that, but in doing so, she accidentally thinks of Geralt, and that way Vilgefortz finds Geralt instead, because she didn't really think that that was going to be a problem. But that machine only works when the subject that is doing the thinking has a strong emotional bond to whatever the person is that they're looking for. So it basically works the same way, only Vilgefortz's device was more painful. Like, a lot more painful.
Anything else? Any detail you can give me would be useful.
Don't trust Letho.
You think I trust the people I hunt?
He's your foe today, but he wasn't always.
I know about that.
How do you know I knew Letho?
I've read...
The reports, I know. Why are you warning me about him?
because I like you.
Well, she's still technically wrong.
Is there anything to prove I was part of the Wild Hunt?
Nothing. Apart from the fact that Nilfgaardian intelligence agents are drawn and quartered for lying in their reports.
An enlightened nation indeed.
Very.
You haven't the faintest notion how many people are interested in you. Very important people.
All of them.
Just because I survived.
No, because you're in
You're
a
a
game.
former rider of the hunt, and you live. You may be the key to solving the mystery of the retinue, and they all know that. You must watch out for yourself.
See, I've always found this particular quest, I don't know, funny or interesting. You might already know this, but The Witcher 3 originally wasn't really centered around Geralt finding Ciri, but in large part it was actually focused on the Wild Hunt. Hence the title. It was focused on a wild hunt, I suppose getting a foothold in our world, and it was just more about Geralt chasing that hunt over Ciri. And the fact that she says this here kind of makes me feel like they were setting that up for The Witcher 3, because at this point she says, lots of people are interested in you because of the wild hunt, because you are the only person who's ever survived it, but then in The Witcher 3, nothing comes of that. Absolutely nothing comes of that. Nobody comes up to Geralt and goes, you know, we're going to torture you for information, or even remotely asks him about it. Nobody really cares about Geralt being part of the Wild Hunt at some point, and she makes a big deal about it here, and apparently Nilfgaard has set up reports about it, and we know that Emilia Emrys is not interested in the Wild Hunt necessarily, or in Geralt at the point of The Witcher 3, because he doesn't ask for Geralt with help for the Wild Hunt, he asks him for help to find Ciri. And honestly, I am not even certain, I'm like 99% certain that actually of the opposite. I don't think Emir knows that Ciri was at all present in the world of the Wild Hunt at any point, because they never talked. And the way that Ciri comes back is from the tower, which has little to do with the Wild Hunt. Like, she wasn't a part of the ghostly retinue. Geralt they saw riding with the riders, which is not the case for Ciri. Yennefer could have told him at that point, but if that's the case, then he wouldn't really be interested yet at the time of The Witcher 1, which is when they would have written this up, right? Because at the time of The Witcher 1, that is when Geralt frees himself from the Wild Hunt. That's when he runs away. So in that case, what we're saying is that at that point they'd already broken Yennefer, and Yennefer had already figured out that, Ciri might have something to do with that, which makes no sense, because if that's the case, then Nilfgaard would already know that there is a second person who survived the Wild Hunt, which is Yennefer. So at this point, I feel like they wouldn't know that. Plot holes. Okay, anyway, yeah, that's all.
Let's say you've satisfied my curiosity.
Well then, consider me glad to have satisfied a Witcher, whatever the way.
So snarky. Okay, so I'm going to say I'd like to try the artifact. I'm going to reload a bunch of times here because there are actually multiple scenes that you can see through the artifact. I'm going to show you all of them, so don't worry.
I'd like to try out the device.
You realize that can only end badly.
Like your face.
Cut in again and I'll put you in my report. You may use it, but just once.
Giving state secrets away to a Nordling. Will you mention that in your report?
You're sure to be named a commander one day, Adalbert. But until that happens, be a good boy and do your job.
Article 22 of the Code is clear. Suspicion of treason is sufficient grounds to strip a commander of power. Article 1 of my personal code is equally clear. Traitors must be subjected to the most painful death possible.
I always found his accent hilarious. But yeah, you basically just kill him. He's not that difficult. I guess for obvious reasons, because he's just not... He's not a very powerful mage. Cynthia's more powerful. In Darknell, though, I mean, it's already an easy mode, so I guess it would never be difficult in the first place. But yeah, he's almost dead already. Don't worry, I'm not going to show you this fight every time I reload. I'm just going to show you straight up what happens in the visions. Slappity slap. Painful deaths, eh? You're literally on fire and you got stabbed. He has so many copies. Oh, she also copies, because of course. Come back, buddy. You can't keep doing that. That's ridiculous. You can't even kill me, and you know you can't. Come back. I'm too fast for the illusion, and he just... Oh no! You bastard! Okay, there we are.
I didn't
Much better.
expect that.
I did.
Multiplication. Second year at the academy, all mages learn it.
I didn't expect you to take my side.
Well, now choose one person you wish to contact. After that, the artifact's mine.
You say that, but...
Nilfgaardian agents get quartered for lying in reports. What does the Empire do to agents who kill their colleagues?
Nothing. As long as no one finds out.
Hee hee.
Will we meet again?
I wouldn't mind at all. Look for me at the inn.
Oh, rip. Forgot to turn that off. Again.
How do you know I knew Letho?
I've read...
Oh yeah, okay,
What?
so this is still the
Because
same. For some reason this resets and
Let's
I don't
say-
know why.
Well,
Yes, you satisfied a Witcher a second time. Damn.
I'd appreciate it if you didn't eavesdrop while I eavesdropped.
I shan't trouble you. I have a lot of work to do here.
Alright, so we're gonna start from the top.
Your fate is in your hands, sorceress.
My fate? You haven't asked a single question about me.
Yet it is all up to you. Your situation is a comfortable one. Do not squander your chance. So, wish to tell me anything?
I'm a sorceress, an advisor to the King of Temeria.
I believe we agreed you would speak only of things I do not know about.
I hope you learned something useful.
I'm just sorry I can't use the artifact a few more times.
Its power has been depleted.
I understand. Thanks anyway.
We've been following the Witcher for several days. I know now he's fully on Iorveth's side. Should I terminate them?
Constable Natalis thinks it unnecessary. Your orders are to cross the Yaruga with your men.
Why?
Natalis suspects the Emperor has amassed large forces on the southern bank, near the border. Verify this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so real quick, the Think of Triss thing was obviously the fact that she's getting tortured for information right now. Yeah, I feel like I want to show you both paths on this one already. Like at some point I'm going to have to make a choice. I think I'll show you both paths here. And then when I do Roach's path, I'll just only show Roach's things, basically. But she's being tortured for information right now in Nilfgaardian camp. I'll show you what happens there, so don't worry about it. Vernon is talking with his Northern Intelligence people, of course, and he's asked to verify what we already know is in fact true, Nilfgaard amassing an army to cross for the Third War. Rip.
Tell me again. I find it arousing.
Same.
Well, Geralt and I went to Vergen, where my dear friend immediately got into all sorts of trouble. Kiss me here. Good. And since it's widely known you can't abandon a friend in need, I helped him. Now here. Not there. There. Good. The adventures we had. We presided over Prince Stennis' trial.
Really?
Then Geralt had to fight his way through a mist of wraiths.
And you?
I had another mission, just as important. But you can't expect me to tell you everything now. I have a ballad to compose about it. Now kiss me here. Really put your lips into it. Oh, yeah.
See, it's funny because he's completely clothed. Only 2 more to go.
I made sure we'd have a trustworthy cook while in Lochmuin. I'll not allow anyone to slip poison into your goblet here.
I cannot sit here and eat in peace while Philippa rots in a dungeon.
Regardless of Philippa's whereabouts and predicament, you must behave as befits a queen.
Does that rule out caring for my friends?
Philippa will manage. And even should she fail, I'm sure her final wish would be that we follow through with the plan. So eat. You must be at full strength during the summit. A very important task awaits you.
So this Saskia thing actually always made very little sense to me in terms of food. Like, I know they probably don't have all kinds of food, especially in Vergen, but also here. And she is still a dragon. When you meet Bork 3 Jackdaws, Villain Trittenmirth, supposedly her father, although I don't necessarily prescribe to that theory, supposedly her father, sorry, no, not the fact that he's her father, but the fact that she would be the green dragon that you meet in the books. I don't think it's actually the same dragon, but anyway, Bork eats a lot in the books. Like a lot. Like a ridiculous amount. When he first meets Geralt and he takes him to the inn, I don't quite remember what it's called. I think it's actually called something along the dragon. Something with dragon as well. He orders a ridiculous amount of food, like unheard of amounts of food, and he eats it all. That guy is hungry, and Saskia's supposed to get by on like a small plate of grub? I don't think so.
Your move, sire?
Yes. You see, Cardwin, I like it when it's my move. And as you have rightly noticed, Mage, that time has come.
The situation on the board favors you, sire.
Indeed. The pieces are arrayed just as I wanted.
My queen is at a disadvantage.
That's putting it lightly. She is cornered. Moreover, you must sacrifice your rook, and your knight cannot possibly block my bishop. In other words, checkmate, Cardwin.
I hope, sire, that the talks in Lochmuin play out as our game did.
I have done everything in my power to position my pawns correctly. I'll know in time who to pin down.
Totally normal talk, isn't it? Okay, we've already heard all this, obviously. And that is every single scene that you can get out of this. I'm actually gonna be honest here and say I don't believe I've ever done Roach's Path and came down here, so I'm not actually sure if there is a Iorveth one. I want to say that there is, but maybe it's just Roach who tells you, Geralt is totally on our side. I'm actually not sure. You can tell me that in the comments. Having said that, I'm still one note short, and that makes me upset. Never mind.
His notes from a mutation procedure manual.
He had them. Never mind. Okay, we'll read them all now. I have started reviewing the manuscripts. The city annals have survived only in part. The most interesting volumes seem to be missing. Curiously, up to this point, I have not found a single mention of the Vrans. As you would. I have happened on an intriguing document. Its content is encrypted, and the dialect itself is strange. Deciphering it is consuming a lot of time. I recognize the word reptiles, which is a promising thread. The document bears the seal of one Iorveth? I've never heard of this individual. I finally reached the place described by Iorveth. The worst suspicions have been confirmed, as I have found cells filled with the bones of lizard men. There are more documents, too. If the figures can be trusted, the mutated virus was terrifyingly effective. The reptilian tissue must have decomposed instantly. I have started to record the mutation procedures once more, this time in a magically protected tome. I now also realize how serious and far-reaching my discovery might prove. If the disease attacked both the Vrans and those Enshe who were not vaccinated, what will happen if someone mad or vile enough can be found among humans? Death, lots of it. I regret having learned of this dark episode in the city's history. I've become wary of danger, as the elves must surely be aware that someone has discovered their secret. I've made my last stroll into the ruins of the Black Academy. I will seal my laboratory and disappear. The time has finally come to see Zerrikania once more. I don't feel like he ever made it to Zerrikania, but anyway, this was still during the time that Lochmuin was under elven control, so a long, long time ago. And the elves at this moment know that, if you want to see like the whole thing, I made an elf video, obviously, at some point, so I'll talk about it there too. But the basics of it is that the elves at the time in Lochmuin created a virus that wiped out the Vran. And the way they did that is by making them completely infertile. So even if the Vran would survive, otherwise they could never have children, which in the end is what was their downfall. Well, however, they never told their Enshe brethren because it also infected some of the Enshe. So if they'd ever tell anyone, then, you know, their people would turn on them as well. Even Iorveth, I don't think, actually knows that, which is very sad. It's very sad. Anyway, let's get the hell out of here. Do we want the loot? We'll have some of the loot. Sod it. We have room, right? Yeah, we have room. We have lots of room. I don't think there's anything else here, is there? No, there is not. Alright, well, then I'm gonna walk my butt back And actually, is that in this one or is it in another one? Yeah, we can return to the surface. I have to think real quick. Yeah, I think that's in another one. Don't worry, we won't miss anything.
At your service.
Presumably. We won't miss anyone. So now we can go and see Cynthia and
The White Wolf?
well, you already know what's gonna happen. Let's be real. Come on, it's the Witcher. Hi, Cynthia.
We need to talk.
Of course.
Of course.
These ruins must hold many secrets.
So many.
I'm certain of that. It was a beautiful city. A city full of talent and hope. But that ill ended with the coming of the Nordling armies.
Think the city would have survived if those armies had been Imperial?
Nope.
Your king started the war with the Enshe. Nilfgaard's relations with the elves have always been peaceful.
They really did a job on your brain.
Here's the thing that I find funny about that. Okay, so the Nilfgaardians are rumored to be descendants of the Black Shay, so one of the earlier elves. And I think that's why maybe they think that, but also they've never had an actual war with the non-humans, and I think that's mainly because I don't think there are any on Nilfgaardian land. Because most of them, at least from the map, were more in the northern parts of it. So I'm wondering about this. If Nilfgaard had spread towards the north while it was still elven occupied, I don't believe that they would have been spared. I think Nilfgaard would have still fought the elves. They would have done the same thing as the Nordlings did, unless, you know, the elves bowed to their will, basically. Because, in essence, the only reason that the north started is because, well, they landed where the elves were. That's just how it is. And you can have as much elven blood as you want, but if the merchant guild says, we want to have Dol Blathanna, then that's gonna happen. Like, the reason that Emir could give away Dol Blathanna here is because... okay, so, sorry, backtrack. In the Second Northern Nilfgaardian War, the elves sided, obviously, in the Squirtle Commandos with Nilfgaard. And during that time, they took back Dol Blathanna, which is the Valley of the Flowers, which was always historically elven lands, and that was eventually taken by the humans. The elves took that back. But Dol Blathanna is in the middle of basically Edirn and Rivia and all that nonsense. So for Emir to take that and keep that as a Nilfgaardian state at all, even as a puppet state, would be practically impossible if he didn't win the war. And because Emir's war, the Second War, was mainly built on the fact that they wanted to cripple the North economically, they weren't really setting out to already keep the North. Like, it was, if it happened, great, cool, awesome, but their main plan was to cripple the North economically so that they could later take it back easily. They could literally take it over through economics because, you know, they had to import a lot from Nilfgaard because Nilfgaard had burned the fields, they had destroyed the factory, they had taken all their things. So if the North wanted to survive, no matter how they pushed and pulled it, they would have to buy from Nilfgaard, making them richer, etc., etc. We know how this works with Kovir. The one with the money has the power. So that was basically their plan regardless. So I think if they had won the war, in general, then Dol Blathanna would have been under Nilfgaardian rule directly, and I don't think that the elves would have been allowed to rule alone, quote unquote. The reason that they were allowed to keep it here is because I guess they kind of had to negotiate around it. You know, they had to sacrifice a bunch of Scoia'tael leaders, and then they could keep Dol Blathanna, but it wouldn't technically be Nilfgaardian, you know, so it's kind of like it wasn't quite Northern, it wasn't quite Nilfgaardian, it's still an elf land. So, yeah, no, I disagree with her completely. I do think that Nilfgaard would have started a war eventually if they'd landed on elven land.
You had me fooled back in Vergen. That sweet face of yours. Never suspected it could belong to someone who fanatically believes in conquering the North.
Mock me if you must, but I truly believe one huge empire is humanity's only hope. Many nations under one crown, with shared laws, advanced science, burgeoning industry and trade, and no wars, of course.
Sounds great. Let me know when it works out. I'd gladly spend my old age in a land like that.
So, Kovir.
That was an interesting adventure, Cynthia.
Yes. People bond over experiences like that.
Yeah, kind of makes you wonder what happened back in Vergen. Did you get your promotion?
Not yet. But His Imperial Majesty rewards dedication.
Can he discern the truth from lies?
What do you mean?
I take it the Emperor has no idea his sorceress helped a mutant kill a Nilfgaardian mage.
It was a dangerous expedition. Casualties were inevitable. He'll content himself with that.
Got time to talk? Or are you off on another dangerous mission?
Even we Nilfgaardian agents rest sometimes.
Are they just gonna keep staring at us? Like, they just joined the conversation. They're not talking, but they joined the conversation. Let's be real.
You knew what we'd find in that laboratory.
Come again?
You wanted the bacteria strains that killed the Vrans, or more precisely, Derhenna's notes from his research into them.
This is very dangerous knowledge.
I suspect that's exactly why the Emperor is so interested.
The North is in chaos. An epidemic is the last thing you need. And one could break out if Derhenna's book fell into the wrong hands.
Fortunately, it's now in the right hands. In Emir's civilized and manicured hands.
Precisely.
Again, that never comes back in The Witcher 3.
I found some of Derhenna's notes. He studied the history of the Vrans, right?
Among other things.
He makes several mentions of an epidemic.
Loch Muin conceals many more secrets than we imagined. I doubt we'll ever know all of them.
Well, if Derhenna's to be trusted, the epidemic had something to do with the Enshe. Maybe the Vrans caught the disease from the elves.
I'm no expert on diseases, Witcher. Who knows? Perhaps Derhenna was right, and the decline of Vrani civilization was much darker and more sudden than we thought.
Very dark, in fact.
Used the artifact yet?
I'm working on improving it. I think it'll be useful one day.
One day. It's already useful. You can think of anyone and see what they're doing. Come on.
I'm finding it hard to believe anything you say.
Did you come here to insult me?
Yes.
No. Sorry.
No, I mean...
What exactly do you want?
It's The Witcher. What do you think?
I was curious. I wanted to see which Cynthia I'd meet this time. The spy, the sorceress, or maybe the woman.
Which were you hoping to meet?
The real one.
Let's assume you're speaking to her. How'd you like her?
Better undressed. I mean, what?
I like her quite a bit.
Compliments are clearly not your forte.
I just told you why I've come. Care to tell me why you invited me?
Let's say I was interested to see which Geralt would show up.
Fuck boy. I mean, what? Embrace. We sleep around with everyone today. Her mouth isn't even open. Bit short, but alright. Can see the boobs, but nothing else.
The minstrels got it right. Women of the South are both passionate and clever.
I like to improvise.
Yeah, I noticed. Farewell, Cynthia.
Vafail.
It's almost Vafail, but not quite.
This would never happen if the Conclave still existed.
Yes, shut up.
And if Grandma had a moustache, she'd be a catfish.
We must protest with all our power.
Anyway, yeah. So the Nilfgaardian language obviously is very much...
Leave the royal courts. Pour venom into rulers' ears no more. It's not too late to repent.
Based on the other speech. Thank you.
Flog your lecherous bodies. But not one sorceress flogging another on sable fur, with the other moaning and writhing and begging for more.
What are you thinking about? Why are you gonna sit... He says something about frogs at some point as well. I need him to start saying the thing about frogs. Hey, you wanna talk about frogs? I know you do. Don't think I don't know you do, because I know you do. There you go, go on.
Renounce magic, I tell you! Shatter your towers and crystal balls! Break your wands and burn your hats! Turn away the black cat! And the bat, the owl, and the rat! Likewise, the frog.
See, I am so sure that this is a reference to something, but I don't actually know what it is. I wish I did. Also, stop being menacing, boys. How dare you? Alright, so we can do the gargoyle contract as well. I think we want to do that one soon-ish. Like, these are all basically the main thing. If we do that, we can't do the rest anymore, so, you know. There's a few things, I think there's like 3 things left that we still want to do, so I'll just call it a day here and do them one at a time. I think we can probably do both of these at the same time, but yeah. We'll be back with that. Slightly shorter episode. Hey.
I'm available. Gotta pay for looking too.
Apparently you're not.
Leave the royal courts.
Yes, okay. We will see you guys in the next episode. Where we finish those contracts, shall we? Okay, yes. Until next time. Va fail.
Lecturers' bodies. But